So today I'm going to be repotting my Burros tail plant, also known as donkey's tail, and this is what that plant looks like. So it's a really cool type of succulent, but to be honest, I've been putting off repotting it for a long time, and the reason for that is because it is so sensitive that as soon as you touch a tiny part of it, the leaves come off. I've actually got two of these plants, so here is the other one which is slightly longer. Both of these plants have been growing amazingly well. So this one I got when it was just 2 stems and they were both about 2 or 3 inches long, and you can see how much this one has grown. But the leaves just fall off so easily that you can see here that there have been so many that have come off on this section here, which just means that at the bottom it's really full, but at the top it's quite heavy. I mean, about 4 leaves have just fallen off already. Now this isn't too bad because the leaves, you can literally just throw them onto the soil and they'll grow themselves into new plants, which is great. But the only thing is now, because so many of these leaves have fallen off, the soil is completely full of these leaves. I also want to try and put both of these plants together in one pot just to make it look a bit more like a fuller, bigger plant. And I'm going to be taking you through that process and hopefully sharing a few good tips to minimize the leaves that fall off these plants. So let's see how it goes. So I read that you can use a technique using an old pillowcase. So I've just got this one here. I'm just going to fold it up to make it a bit smaller, as the plant's quite small. And then you just want to hold the plant upside down, take the pot away, and then keep all the leaves in the pillowcase. And this means that when you're loosening the soil, you're just dealing with this part, and the leaves should have a bit of cushioning to protect them. With this one, you can see these are all of the small leaves that have fallen off the main plant and are now growing themselves. So even with this tiny one, you can see there's a tiny root and a tiny little bud there. And if these leaves fall out, that's fine, we can collect those later. And you just want to very gently ease the plant out. There we go, keeping it cushioned in the pillowcase. So as I'm putting them both together, I am using a slightly bigger pot. So I'm just going to fill that pot with some succulent soil. So this soil is specifically for succulents and cacti. It just helps it drain better, and it has all of the nutrients that's needed for succulents too. So I'm just going to put a bit in the bottom. I'm then going to just loosen the soil around these, which means that any small individual plant should come off. And this also gives you a good opportunity to get rid of any dead pieces on the top soil and ensure that the top bit of soil is fresh. So like this piece, you can see it's got its own roots, and that can be planted in the soil with the others. So when you're doing this, it's good to just take hold of the soil like this, and that way the plant is just upside down and kind of staying in the same position, so you're not knocking it too much. So you can also see that the roots on this plant aren't very deep at all, so it doesn't need a huge pot. So now I'm just going to lift this plant up, measure it to see if that's about the right height you want it in the pot, and just leave it resting there for now whilst you work on the other one. Only touching the base, putting that soil into the pot and put it in position. At this stage, it really allows you to see any bits from the base that have lost a lot of leaves, or if there's any damaged parts. When it was in the pot before, it was so crowded with so many leaves that I couldn't see any of this, so this gives you a really great opportunity to just have a look. With stems such as this one, so at the bottom it's quite strong, but here you can see there's a lot of leaves missing, which is where it's been knocked so many times. So I might just remove this stem and then plant it again. So all I'm going to do here is just get a sharp knife and then just cut as close to the bottom of the stem as you can, being careful not to damage any of the other ones. Now you can see a bit clearer that these are all where the leaves are missing. It's meant to look like this. I'm then going to just cut it and then I'm going to plant this in the soil with just this stem. Once you're happy with the positioning of it, all you need to do is just fill in the soil around. And then any of the stems that you pulled the leaves off, like this one that I did, you can just move these over to the side and just add the stems in where they need to go. You can remove a few more of the leaves if they need to be deeper, making sure that you're gentle but also pushing the soil deep so it's compact. So I'm now happy with that. It looks a lot fuller. It's fully supported in the pot and I've got rid of any damaged stems. Now the pillowcase actually worked pretty well. You can see that there's not that many leaves that fell off. There are some. It may look like quite a lot, but in comparison, these are all of the leaves that I actually removed from the damaged part. So you can actually grow the full plant from these leaves, and I'll show you an example. This one here, you can see that it's just the leaf, but it's starting to grow its own mini plant there, and it's even got its own root system already. So all you need to do to achieve this is get a smaller pot. It's going to use the one that the smaller plant was originally in. Fill it with succulent soil. Then scoop up your leaves and then simply pour them onto the soil. And then you can just leave them like this. Some will survive, some won't. See how it goes. I really hope you've enjoyed this video and it's given you some good tips on how to repot this delicate succulent and how to make the most of any fallen leaves. If you have any questions at all, just let me know.